Hi, thank you so much. I started as a workplace rep about 4 years ago, which was at the end of my NQT year at a secondary academy in Tower Hamlets. There was an NEU group in the school, but it hadn't been very active on collective issues for a while at that point. One of the first things that I did was to use the NEU workload survey to find out what teachers' concerns were. We had a couple of key themes coming up, which were behaviour management, assessment, and data, among some other minor concerns. We took these to the head teacher, and we also used the NEU workload toolkit to suggest some solutions. It hasn't always been smooth sailing. There's been a lot of back and forth in the years since that meeting, but a huge amount has changed, which has been great. From marking books every 2 weeks with written feedback, we now do 1 or 2 formative tasks per half term, depending on the subject, and there's no written feedback expected in students' books. In terms of behaviour, our system used to be that every teacher had to do their own follow-up. So on any given day, you might have every single teacher in the school staying an extra hour to supervise detentions, but now we have a centralised system that is really effective and has improved workload massively. Behaviour incidents have reduced a lot as well, which has helped with staff well-being and just creating a much better atmosphere in the school. We've changed the way that we submit data. So now we only submit data twice a year. It's a raw score from the summative assessments that students have sat, which replaces some of the other types of assessment that we do. So it's kind of balancing workload. It's spread out across the year. So we're not submitting data for all the year groups at once, which had been an issue in the past. And because it's just that raw score, we're not scrabbling around looking at students' work, trying to come up with a grade that is quite arbitrary and doesn't really mean anything. It's actually producing meaningful data as well. Most recently, we've been kind of quietly asking for this for 4 years since I started. Finally, this year, the school announced that our appraisal process would not be looking at any exam results, and future appraisal cycles would not look at exam results either. There will be no outcomes used as a measure of teacher performance. And from this year, main pay scale teachers do not have to submit any evidence at all for their appraisal. They are trusted to have achieved their objectives if there's not been an issue that's been raised or any concerns raised. And as these changes have come in our workload, teaching and learning has improved, the culture in the school has improved, staff are much more motivated, they have ownership over the work that they're doing. We still work incredibly hard, but our work feels purposeful and impactful in a way that it didn't used to. So it just goes to show that what is good for teacher workload is good for schools as well. It hasn't been easy all the time. The school's a high pressure academy. There's a lot of change, which can be good, like the ones I've discussed, but there's also a lot of changes made without really considering the impact on staff that we've had to fight against. And the support of my district NEU and the district officers has been really crucial in making that happen. Last year, we had a particular low point in our relations with the school over COVID safety measures, but with the help of the branch, we kept giving feedback to senior leadership. We ended up holding an indicative ballot over taking some formal industrial action, and ultimately we were able to kind of reverse some of the decisions that had been made. For example, our break being cut was returned to actually longer than it had been prior to the pandemic, so that was really satisfying. There's been some external factors in the success, like new leaders coming in, but generally, I think the pressure that we've applied as an NEU group has made a huge contribution to the positive changes in the school. Even just knowing that there's an NEU rep who is keeping an eye on things, looking at the changes that are being made, the fact that people are talking to each other and that they're going to make their voices known, all of that really has an impact on the decisions that are being made. So my advice would be, if you are concerned about workload, arrange that meeting in your school, become a rep. It doesn't have to be a scary thing. And don't be put off if you're new to teaching, like I was, or new to a school, because you're probably the person who knows more about workload issues than anyone else there. It's a really interesting role as well, workplace rep. You get to learn so much about how schools are managed and the way decisions are made. And the NEU has fantastic people, resources. The support network is amazing, and it's all available for you to help make the changes that you need in your school. Thank you.